if I put my mic in front of me. I moved my mic. It feels less crowded this way.
Now we both have the same hang down setup.
Yeah, I like it. I've been using it for class, and it's just like, it's nice. It's out of my way. I can swing it out of my way and have this space open. So it's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Neither one of you cats need to be in here. Neither one of you need to be in here. Anyways, I'm reading a book, and it's one of the, I got to like a certain section of the book where it's just like hitting this tone that I'm really enjoying, and so I'm like, I just want to keep reading.
That happens.
So I had to tear myself away to come do this. All right.
Drill intro?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Deanna.
And we're the Halfwit Sisters.
Welcome back.
Yep. What was last episode?
Last episode was A Way Out. We escaped authorities.
Locked up some old people.
Did not steal their gun or...
Yeah, got through a car chase. And then played a little bit of a raft in that game. Yeah.
As we sunk twice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I just realized I don't even care. I don't have the voice modulator thing on.
We don't use it. We don't really use it except for like you doing the little thingy. Anyways.
Yeah. Fine. So that was last episode. This episode, we're supposed to talk about project updates and any random topics that we have. And all that.
Sure, okay. So let's start with project updates. Project updates. Okay, Cotton, you gotta go.
This is Cotton. He's a big fluff boy.
He's my roommate's cat. One of my roommate's cat. Ugh. No.
What was that?
What?
The big thump.
That was him jumping back down off the bed. Okay. So project updates. What do we got? I have got nothing. I really do have nothing. You know, I was hoping I'd be a little bit better, because I was doing my writing prompts with the audiobook, and I was working on some other writing projects on the side, but I have come to like a screeching halt on everything when I picked up these Chinese romance novels. I've read like 2 in the last, and I'm on my 3rd one in the last like month. I started in February, and I kind of just got sucked into them. So my bad. My bad. I have kind of a little, you know how when you get into something, you get there, like sometimes you get obsessed, right? There's that obsession thing,
Yep.
right? And you can't stop until you've like consumed whatever it is, and then it's like you can go back to being normal.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at that stage right now. I just really wanted to read these 3 books written by the author of Moto Dalshi, which I talked about in our review episode, which we'll talk about a little bit later in like our random topic thing. But I wanted to, so I've been up that. So I have not done any of my projects at all.
Just not great, but okay. Understandable because I have totally done that. Uh, just I mean I can't complain because I have done that. I, on the other hand, have not really done anything that's like noteworthy, but I will say, I say that as I'm about to go through and tell the story about backstory. It's weird. Okay, so my boyfriend got a camera lens for his phone. And the camera lens, it's like $150, and the people that make it are sponsoring a film festival. And he's going to enter into one of the categories. And then he was like, hey, Deanna, you should enter into some of these other categories. Because there's like a dramatic narrative and comedic narrative that I could totally do. And they're 3-minute shorts. Well, as I'm looking all of this up, I find out they also have a film grant that you can apply for. And I spent the next 4 hours typing up a script, sending it to Becca so she could make her edits, and recording. Do we want to put it in?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we need to put it in.
Okay.
I would put it in after, like, let's say you get the grant, right? I don't know when
so
they're
by
gonna.
the time this airs, we'll have known because the deadline for it is tomorrow, and we
Uh-huh.
find out Monday. So
Yeah, let's
when
save
this
it. Let's
premieres,
save
we'll
it
have
as like
found
a
out.
reveal, huh?
When this video premieres, we'll have found out Monday. So we'll have known for a few days.
Okay. Well, then let's save it for like the next time, like our next episode.
Okay.
Whatever our next episode is, no matter what, we'll be like, we either got the grant or we didn't. Here's the video we shot. Don't do this as the grant video, or here's all the tips on how we made a grant video. Like, we can do it that way.
I mean, either way, like even if we don't get it, I'll still think we did a good job on it. But we'll save it for next video. So spent 4 hours doing that. And
It's not me.
then
You're quiet. It's you that's quiet. It's not me.
Is that better?
Mm-mm. It might be better on your end. I always have problems, but if I try to bring it up, I don't want to.
I don't know if that. Let me do that. Yeah, I mean, on my end, it's saying it's full.
Okay, it's probably just me then.
Okay. So spend 4 hours doing that and submitted, and we'll find out if I get it or not. But then I have spent the last few days, I got a new phone because you have to shoot this 3-minute short on a phone or a droid. That feels wrong. Drone. A drone. The word is drone.
You
And
hear
so,
that ringing later on in the video? Whoever edits this, if you start hearing a ringing on my end, I was messing with the sound so I could hear you. Because I feel like if I keep coming closer, and eventually all you're gonna see is like me, like, I can't hear you. Can you speak up?
a drone. And so while I didn't need to upgrade my phone, it just so happened that I use T-Mobile. I could turn in my old phone and get this one and just pay taxes on it. So
What did you get?
the Galaxy S21. I didn't spring for the Plus or the Ultra. I just went for the S21 because I didn't want to spend an extra $200 to $400 without having really done research, because I decided within an hour that I was just going to upgrade my phone. No one says I think these through, okay? I just decide things.
Yes, child, go spend money.
It was like $100.
Okay, whatever.
So yeah, so we submitted for a grant for a film festival, and we're working on either adapting two of the TikTok scripts for Belladonna into one 3-minute short for this, or doing a dramatic narrative.
So let me clarify here, because you're like, we're talking.
I talked and she listened.
Yeah, see, when you had prefaced this all with, my boyfriend was like, you should talk, right? You should enter this. So eventually she did call me and say, hey, we should enter this. So when she said we talk, she's talking about me and her, not that her and her boyfriend are going off and making these things together. It's me and her have agreed to enter into this thing. So we eventually talked and agreed to either do 1 or 2 films and enter them into one or 2 categories, the comedic or dramatic, or do comedic and dramatic together.
Yeah.
That's where context is important, and this is why I am the writer.
Sorry, I thought that I when I said we, I knew I was talking about Becca, not my boyfriend, who is also entering, but in a completely different category.
What is he entering in?
He's going to try to do the 15-minute experimental narrative.
Okay.
Because he has this project that he's been thinking about for a couple of years, and he has a friend that's like, yeah, let's do it. So they're going to film it here soon. I think tomorrow he's going to go and shoot some B-roll out in the city for his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also willing to help me film mine, which is not a conflict of interest because we're not entering in the same category.
Right. We're like, this is our first time really doing this kind of stuff. Like, Halfwit Sisters, everything that we're doing is always the first for us. And for this is again, you've entered into film contests before, though.
Yes.
Right?
So I've entered into 48-hour film festivals, where on a Friday night we either have a group or we don't. We might have the beginning of a script or we might not. The times that I've entered, I haven't really had a group, haven't had a script, and we wrote, filmed, edit, and basically produced within 24 hours because it had to be submitted by 2:00 on a Sunday.
Right. Here's a link to one of them, the Dragon Mother, or
Motherborn, yes.
Yeah, Motherborn. Here's a link to one of them you can go check out.
Yes, that one I feel was one of the most successful times I've done it. We didn't win, but what we produced in that short amount of time It included a fight scene. It was great.
You enjoyed it. That's
I
all that.
enjoyed it. I'm also thinking on, especially if we do get the grant, and depending on which narrative we decide to do, or if we decide to do both, reaching out to that group again to see if any of them want to help on this.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's definitely one thing that, like, I enjoyed working with them. I know they're professional, and both the cinematographer and the director that we had knew what they were doing, knew how to get their shots. And so I know we used a natural camera for that, but let's see what they can also do on a phone.
So for this, you have to use the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's mobile or a drone. And I have a mobile phone, so I don't have a drone, and I'm not going to buy a drone. So that's where we are on that. Still haven't decided quite on which one we're doing, but I have spent the last 3 hours going through and finding workshops that I can take on lighting and mobile production, and I'm looking for some other stuff, and looking at filming spaces that I can rent, seeing if there was inspiration I could pull from there for something, for like, hey, Becca, what if this was the storyline? Can we write something for that type thing? But also looking at like the Belladonna scripts and seeing if I can film in that place, instead of trying to cobble something together in our back room. Because while this is turning into our studio space, it's also a basement that's like half filled with other stuff.
Right. The I always feel bad because when I hear like I don't always feel bad because I know you're going and you're like, I'm going out and searching out these workshops and stuff like that. And I've taken so many writing workshops over. I just don't want to anymore. They don't serve a purpose for me anymore. And that's terrible to say, but hear me out. I've been writing since I was 14 years old. I've got a master's degree in creative writing with the focus in game narrative. And for an entire year, I was like steeped in everything that had to do with writing and script writing, right? And then in between all of that time from when I was writing at 14 up until pretty much last year, I've taken multiple writing workshops in game writing, in film writing, in comic book writing. I'm just kind of tired of it because they all kind of say the same thing when it comes to writing stories. No matter what industry you're in, there's story is written the same way. And so it's like I'm hearing about all these workshops and I was like, I really don't want to take another workshop. And like it became super apparent to me the last time that I took a workshop last year before all COVID hit, or the year before last. I think it was last year. I was taking this workshop on how to write for children's book. I've written a children's book, by the way. I have never published it, but I have written a couple children's books.
Can you send that to me, by the way?
What, my children's book?
Yeah.
I have to find what I've done with that. Anyways, so I was listening to this guy and how he was not giving great advice. And in between everything he was saying, every time anybody asked questions, he wasn't able to answer them, and I was unable to keep my mouth shut, and I was answering them for him. The class started at like 7 a.m. By 1 p.m. he was frustrated with me, and half the class was more like asking me questions, so I had to leave.
Oops.
That class was supposed to go until like 6 or 7 in the evening. So I was like, I'm gonna have to go. And it wasn't like I'm not gonna say he was bad. Like, he wasn't. He knew what he was talking about, but my skill level and my knowledge level was so much further above where everybody else was in that class that it wasn't right for me to be sitting in there.
Yeah.
And so I had to walk away.
Well,
So
that's one of the things, like, you are very well educated in your chosen field. At this point, it's not so much about learning more, but practicing and building on your skills.
right. And so that's like what I've been lacking on my end. It's like, what don't I have? I don't have a portfolio. And the portfolio that I do have, like one of the questions that I got the most often from people is like, why aren't you in the game industry if you have so much knowledge about this? Is because I don't actually have a portfolio of games that I have worked on. Doesn't mean I haven't tried. It's just the amount of people that I've tried to do and go work on is because I focus so heavily on game writing that I never increase skills in, like, it's like building a stat. Building your own character stat. I've put everything into Bard. Like, I've put everything into Bard and telling stories that I do not have anything in any other category for, like, programming or sound design or any of those things. I know, like, little bits and pieces here and there that have always gotten me to where I need to be. But, like, when it comes down to, like, joining, like, the global game jams and things like that, I've never been helpful because all I have is writing. And when I've gone over and it's like, do you need a writer? They're like, we only have like a day to make a game, or we only have a weekend to make a game, and we don't really need a writer on staff for a game to be made in 48 hours, right? And that's like hard to hear. So what do you do? So I'm like, I've never had like figured out how to like fix my problem on how to do it. And I say that, but then I'm also like, but I also do know how to fix my problem, which is just go and make choose your own like actual narrative based games. I don't know. Anyways, what I was trying to get to before I went on this giant sidebar is I understand why I'm like super glad that you're going and taking all of those
Workshops,
right? And super awesome that you're doing that. I will never take another writing workshop unless I'm the one giving it. That's what I was trying to get to. I will never take another writing workshop unless I'm the one giving it. That's where I'm at in my life. So if anybody is like, Ray, go take this writing workshop, the answer is always going to be no. I'm kind of done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will now be the one giving the workshops. In fact, that's what I've been trying to figure out how to do.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I'm taking these workshops is because I have a pretty good base with my acting skills. And this is something that became very apparent to me when I was helping a friend with an audition. And they're reading the script and they are missing all of these big context clues that for me are just, I'm like, oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. And it's not until they went back later and read the full script that they're like, hey, you know that big context clue that I missed that you got? You were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because with my acting education, it was very much script based. I had one of the biggest influences one of my best teachers, I feel like, was a playwright as well as an actor. And so he hammered home finding everything in the script. So I'm like, I have a pretty good base. What I need for acting is practice. Practice and real material.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I am, and I want to get better, and I want to take workshops, but workshops for me and for acting in particular are more about networking,
Hmm.
which takes me courage because I don't like talking to people I don't know. I'm working on it.
That's
Um,
I have a completely different whole thing on that. It's funny that this is our random topic day, and we can definitely get into those things.
yeah,
But
but
we'll
so
talk about
that's
that after
yeah.
this.
I'm looking at these workshops because they're for lighting and production, and these are things that I have an understanding of, but not really a good working knowledge of. So I'm like, let me see and take these classes and try to build on my repertoire and my skills on these areas because we have this big project of the TikTok scripts for Belladonna, and we have the film festival. And I know there's hundreds of other film festivals just like this that I would love to be able to enter into.
Hmm.
Um, and if I do, I need knowledge. I need to figure out how to do this and set up shots that, yeah, some of them might be static shots because that's all I do because
It's the
I,
simplest and easiest and quickest to do.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but let me at least make them visually interesting.
Right. Right.
Or if it's not just one static shock, maybe it's a couple different from different angles. Let me know how to do this and give that. So that's why I'm looking at these workshops. And I don't like I could ask you to take the workshop, but you're not here to help me with the production. So it's one of those things. And boyfriend might join me on some of these when he's home, because this is something that he's very interested in too. And building both of our skill base would be helpful for both of us.
Right. Right.
Um, but like that's why I've been looking at workshops. I've been looking at set locations because especially for this film festival, for this 3-minute short, I'm willing to put in some money.
Right. It's
On
also
location.
for like we didn't mention this, but it's not one of those 48-hour ones. This
No.
work doesn't have to be turned in until June, I think is what you said.
Yeah, so the deadline is if we get the grant, our deadline is June 2nd. If we
Okay.
don't get the grant, then we have until June 4th.
Okay.
Still, no matter what, I'm shooting for June 2nd as it's uploaded and done, and we're walking away from it.
Mhm.
So there's a deadline on something. There's a workshop that the festival is doing that will take place over 2 days, towards the end of the month. That grant or no grant, I want to look into and attend. And so I'm like, what do I need? And what can I find? And what is the budget that I'm willing to spend on this is kind of where I am right now. Loosely, I'm saying 500, but as I'm looking at some of these spaces that are for rent, they have like a 4-hour minimum and they're $100 an hour. And so there's the 500.
Mhm.
But it is money that I'm willing to spend. I don't want to spend too much money because if we did win, then I'd
You
be,
see, and this goes back to like us talking about, remember? Like we were talking about last year when we got to the ending of last year. We're like eventually we're gonna get to a point in our half-wit projects where we're gonna need to start spending money.
yeah,
Right. And we knew most of it was gonna start coming out of our pocket.
yeah,
Right. And we didn't want that. At the same time, we were like, we don't want that. But like, what do we do? So starting out, the obvious choice for us is that we have to have it come out of our pockets first because we don't have enough of a fan base to find any other way
yeah,
of like making sure
funding.
we're not, yeah, dipping into our own pools. But then our question starts to follow up. Well, if we start building up a fan base, if we start building up this, right, how do we start bringing in money so that we're not dipping into our own thing? Yeah, the grant would actually help because the grant would give us money to a lot towards some of the things that we're talking about, camera
So,
equipment, rented
yeah,
space.
so the grant would give us $1,000 in gear,
Hmm.
which would go a long way because between my Android and Neil's iPhone, we would be able to use that all the gear they gave us and shoot some amazing things.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm like, I don't have to worry about lighting and camera equipment and all of that. That $500 can go strictly to costume, makeup, and set and props.
Hmm.
And look, I might be doing a lot of guerrilla shoots where I run out, look like a tourist, film what I can, and then run before the cops get there.
Right. So, but that's another thing that we never really covered when we were talking about, like, in terms of money. Another option that's always been there is for us to start looking for grants, right? Throughout the year, there are tons of grants that are actually available for there. And even in just podcasts alone, like story podcasts, there are actually grants there too that we could look into to help fund some of the things that we're working on, right? We just have to look for them. We just haven't yet because we haven't thought much beyond the current project that we were working on, which was mostly Belladonna. And we
Yeah.
haven't thought beyond, like, even for myself, like, I have no job. And so I hadn't thought much beyond, like, how am I going to get money for just like my basic necessities. So these little things, like, now we're going, okay, by the way, it's like only now that you started going, well, there's this one thing that we're doing, this current thing, and now we're like, and now I'm like, oh, yeah, there's these sorts of things throughout the entire year, and there's even like stuff here in Texas that has that they have allotted to the side for actual film production too, that you can sign up for. So if we just sat down and looked and do research, there's plenty of money to be had for it. But then what's the next step in all that? Writing. Writing for those grants. And that was like I've looked and checked out some writing grants that are out there too, stuff that people are willing to pay for you to write a book in a year or something along those lines. And those are like, you have until this amount of time, you have to write out this thing. And I'm like, no. Because that in itself is another skill set. This one that you did was give us a video telling us what you're going to do. Not every single one of them is like that.
Yeah. This was a very simple, hey, in 1 minute, tell us who you are, what the grant would mean to you, why is it memorable, and what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on, my nose. Oh, God. So it was really easy. Yes, it took me 4 hours, but
And she's like, let me just do this, and now I'm gonna go all through my hair with it. using
right,
that using that self-made gel to slick it all back.
There's no boogers on my hand. I'm scratching. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow.
Anyways, so yes, you made this video.
Yeah.
Now we're waiting for this, and these are our next steps.
Yeah. So yeah, and we should look into some of those grants because yes, I'm willing to put out a bit of money. It's a little bit more than a bit. I can't afford to do that every time we have a project.
No.
I don't have the funding to do that.
On the upside, though, if let's say we do a project and we manage to get some attention, right? It opens the door for crowdfunding.
Yes.
right?
And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to do crowdfunding on this project. It's because we don't have, it's been quite a few months since we started talking about this, and we have scripts,
Right.
but we haven't done anything else.
Well, I've always put like the Belladonna thing off to the side. I've always put a lot of our stuff like we're, as far as anybody else is concerned, we're always kind of like a lot of hot air because we've never shown anything besides the Halfwit Sister thing as being like our thing, right? But eventually we're going to put something out. Something's gonna come out. It's coming out the door soon, guys. And once we're able to start putting out what we need, it's what am I trying to say? Things have been held back. Why? Not just because we couldn't do it. It's because there's been very real, like you moved, that life things were in the way, but also because we had very real things that we couldn't do. You know, and that's the truth. Now you're much more situated, so movement can start to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what that's what we've been waiting for, is situations to get to a point where you're more situated, and to a point where I'm more situated. I am. I'm not going anywhere anymore. So like now I think like this year we're gonna start seeing the stuff that we've been talking about actually come to fruition.
Yeah. And they are, like, I've done some test shoots, nothing in costume, not since the photo shoot, where I know we've talked about the photo shoot that I've done before, and you'll start seeing some of those on Instagram eventually when we get closer to putting stuff actually out. At this point, one of the big things that's holding me back from filming is I don't fit into the costume quite as well as I did 4 months ago.
She got some of that happy weight.
I have been working from home since October.
She got some of that pandemic weight.
So I gained weight.
So, yeah. Well, we'll leave it off on that, and we'll give updates on like where we're at on that. Because right now, what we need to do is figure out which script we're gonna go with in terms of Belladonna, and then actually figure out whether or not we're gonna go with do a dramatic script and what that's gonna look like. And we only have probably like I would say we'd need to figure that out by the end of next week on what exactly we're gonna do on that. So we'll talk about that.
Personally, I would like to do both a comedic and a dramatic and enter into the two categories. Because you are allowed to enter into multiple categories. You just can't enter into the same one twice. So personally, I would like to do one of each.
Okay. I mean, all I'm doing is writing, so it just comes down to it was like for the comedic script, which is definitely going to be Belladonna, just figuring out which one that is you would like to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one is writing drama is a lot more easier for me anyways. It's figuring out what story to go with from there.
Yeah.
And how that unfolds. So that's probably the one that's going to take the longest for me to figure out, and talking back and forth on whether or not, like, what that story looks like to the both of us.
Yeah. And there's more conversations that we need to brainstorm on that as soon as we can settle on a dramatic story to tell. Because if I do, like, rent a location, I need to find somewhere that we could use for both of them, even if they're not in the same exact part of that studio.
Yeah. No, we'll get there.
I will say this, though, Becca. Mm-hmm. If you happen to come up with something that needs a rain room, there is a studio that has a rain room in Astoria. You could just stand in a black room with rain.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll leave it off on that. More updates will come out as we prepare for essentially this film festival.
Yes. Because grant or not, it is happening.
Yeah.
I want to enter into it.
Okay. Alrighty. So we've got about 20 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay. Random topic time. There was something that I said that we'll talk about now, but it's totally off my. Okay. Oh, nah. So, Moto del Shi. I read. So look. I was that author. This person. That author wrote 3 books entirely. I mentioned them before: Scum Villain Self-Saving System, Moto Dao Shi, which was the second one, and then Heaven's Official's Blessing. I read the first 2, and now I'm reading the third one. The first one, Self-Saving System, was only 70 or 90 chapters, about 81 chapters long. Moto Dao Shi was only 120 chapters long. This one is 200. Heavenly Official Blessing is 240 chapters long. Okay. I'm right now I just got to chapter 180. I've been reading that book for a week straight. And because none of them are translated in English, I can't go out onto Amazon and find an English translation. I have to spend time and find an actual fan translation somewhere out there on the interwebs, and then compare them. I have to compare translations. What? I have to compare different translations to see which one is better and sounds better, and then look around to see what fans are talking about are better translation and go from there. And there's actually only one group that translated all 244 chapters, because there were extra chapters afterwards that are kind of just epilogues. And that took a little bit, all right? So I just been kind of obsessed with reading those stories, because I wanted to read all 3 of them and then just figure out which of the ones that I liked and then complain about them on TikTok. That has been my goal for the last month, was to read all of these and then complain about them on TikTok. All right? That's my project that I've been working towards.
Okay.
yeah, that's fine. Be okay. Other than that, I've been watching this Chinese drama that's available on YouTube called Word of Honor. It is also an adaptation of another gay romance that is gayer than The Untamed. I thought The Untamed was pretty gay, but this one's a lot gayer in a lot of the interactions. So I've been watching that, and then of course I had to go find the translation, the novel, to see what that was all about. So I was doing research on that, and in other words, I found a new obsession that's not involved with Japanese animation. So give me some time to kind of work it out and find a balance in that whole thing.
Hey, Becca, you have until the 15th to figure out. Giving you a deadline. Isn't that what you told me you need? Deadlines?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So you have a deadline.
Yeah, if somebody else gives me a deadline, I can actually hit the deadlines. So yes.
Get someone else to give you a deadline.
Huh?
Who's home right now?
Don't bother them. No, please don't. They already bother me enough. If I pace, they'll come over. I pace a lot. Like I do a lot of pacing, back and forth, because that's how pacing works. In case you didn't know how pacing works. And I'm usually in my head, like working out a storyline or daydreaming or whatever. No, apparently it's not daydreaming anymore. It's maladaptive daydreaming. So I'm doing that. And if I go for more than like 2 hours, they will come over and knock on my door and like, you need to stop. Uh, my roommates put me in check a lot because I've got a lot of unhealthy habits, and they're trying to make sure that I don't like go off the deep end again. Because it's taken me by this point, everybody knows I had a big mental breakdown in 2019, and then it took me about like 2018, beginning of 2019, it took me about a year to get back on track, right? I talked about this. So one of the ways that helped was my roommates help a lot with keeping my mental state in kind of a good, like they catch if I'm going off a deep end. Because sometimes when a manic episode is coming on, I won't realize it from the inside. They can realize it from the outside. So they come over and check every now and then to make sure I'm not going at, and not going all like, oh yes, I'm coming after you, So, don't give them more work is what I'm saying. I always feel bad for that. In return, I buy them all the nice little pastries I can from 85 Degree Bakery.
But we do need because there is mentorship that's available on this grant, if we get it, we do need to have an idea relatively quickly.
I have like, dude, who are you talking to?
An idea and a script.
Who are you talking to?
So
I can get you one. Did I ever tell you about the time that I wrote an entire script for it was a writing test for a game, and I had to have 3 different endings, and I did it in 24 hours. We're good. And it's like, why haven't you done it now? I've got it planned. Don't start with me, people. I will come after you. In the comment sections that nobody's there in. But yes, I can do it. We'll get it done. You know how it works. Some people work better under pressure.
Yes. Well, I wanna get as much as we can done before I start reaching out to people. Because I don't want to reach out to them and then everything just be like,
you're doing your little panicky thing now. We haven't even started yet. Calm the fuck down.
But
you're doing your little panicky thing. You're already getting spun up too fast. You're doing your thing. We'll get there. We're gonna figure it out. If the biggest thing you want to worry about right now, the biggest thing I can give you to look at is go through the Belladonna scripts, pick the one you want. That one, that will be the one we turn into the comedic script. That's the one. That's your responsibility, and I'll handle the dramatic one. Like, that's it. And we'll divide and conquer.
Okay.
All right, you wrote the majority of them. All I did was edit.
Yeah. So, and turning the scripts into, oh God, I went too far. Turning the scripts into this one. I mean, there are already a handful that do run one into the other. So it's just a matter of picking the one, which is one of the reasons I started looking at locations, is because I wanted to see, like, if I wanted to do the OSHA violation, if I could find like a warehouse factory type place, and how much it would be. I don't think we'll be able to do that one because I'm having trouble finding a good warehouse location.
That you can fake easily, though. So, like, it doesn't have to exactly be a warehouse location.
But like having the space to do it is more my issue. Because I don't want to rely too heavily on a green screen since I'm still very new at using green screen. For the TikTok videos, it's one thing. For this film festival, I want to make sure it's even better. So there's several sites that I found that you can find for renting locations. So it's just a matter of finding and researching and figuring it out. But so I don't think we'll do OSHA violation and its tie-in. But I'll keep looking through and we'll figure that out. That's my task for the rest of the night because I have nothing else to do because I already edited the video and it's up on OneDrive for you to look at.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And that's kind of all we have for this week. Next week, we're reviewing. I thought Justice League, the Snyder Cut, was supposed to be out by the time we recorded for that one. I was wrong on its release date.
Raya's Dragon is supposed to be out, but...
Yes, it's on Premiere Access, so you have to pay for it. Yeah. And while I did that with Milan, I haven't felt like doing it with Raya. Mostly because I was not, like, I had a long lead up on hype with Milan of, like, it was supposed to be out.
What you should watch is the Heavenly Official Blessing Donghua that's on Funimation.
It's not on Funimation.
Yes, it is.
I was literally on there and looking at things, and it was not on Funimation.
They take it down? They take it down? My heart will break if they took it down.
Are you sure you're not talking about Crunchyroll?
Is it on there too?
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't see it on... Oh, it says it's on here.
Oh, Heaven's Official Blessing.
All right, well, I'll look at it again. They were fixing stuff in my apartment, so I was kind of stuck in this back room. Oh, so I started watching Yakutaki Japan.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that in ages. And Toilet Bound Hanako-kun.
Yes, I know that's on there.
Come on.
There was a whole list.
I Don't Care was another one, or I Do Care, or I Care, whatever it was supposed to be called. I Care. That's on Netflix. I watched that. That was something.
Apparently I lost the list of the shows that I was supposed to watch.
You see, I try, people. I try.
I wrote them down.
Okay, I sent you the link to the Heaven's Official's Blessing.
Well, it's on Funimation, right?
Yeah, I sent you the link from Funimation.
Okay, well, it's on my Xbox, so that does me no good.
Well, I at least sent you the name you can look at. Anyways,
Anyway, that is all we have this time. Next week it will be a review. I thought Justice League was going to be out. Turns out it will be out the day before our next episode airs, so I will not have watched it yet. Sad face. But I will watch something.
Okay. Well, I gave you a whole bunch of things we can talk about.
Yes.
Like we can review each of those easily. That movie, I Don't Care, I Care a Lot, is on Netflix. I Care a Lot. Or the Sweeper, what is it called? Something Sweeper. That's also on Netflix. That's out.
It's not Sweeper, and I remember it not being Sweeper because you kept saying Sweeper, and then
Something
you asked your
Runner.
roommate.
Something Runner.
Yes.
That's on there. There. We'll get it. You'll be there next time. See you all later. Bye.
Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Bye.